Hey guys, this is the CK Reviews, and I'm Caleb. This
And
is.
I'm Christy.
Alright, and today we're reviewing Across the Universe. And what did you think about this movie before I pissed all over it?
Um, I was really excited for this to come out because it did come out in other countries before it came out here. And it featured Beatles music, and I am a huge Beatles fan.
hmm
But when I was watching the movie, I didn't feel like you had to be a fan to entirely grasp the concept that was going on.
Here's where I'm going to have to disagree with you. You have to be a fan of the Beatles to even slightly enjoy this movie. I was sitting down as a fan of just regular musicals. Uh, there's no continuity to the story. There's no real connection that you can feel with any of these characters. It's just sort of, if you're a Beatles fan, you get into it because you're connected to the songs already. You have an emotional attachment to the Beatles. If you don't have an emotional attachment to the Beatles like me, the movie is just not going to work for you. I'm sorry. I thought it was subpar at best.
Well, I'll give you that because the movie did really have major flaws.
hmm I
Um,
will. I
a
will
lot
agree
of
with that full heartedly.
Yeah, a lot of the characters were either unstable or unnecessary, like Prudence, for instance.
Or annoying. Prudence, the
Exactly.
token Asian of the story.
Yeah, where she kind of came in and then she just kind of left the story,
Uh,
and it
During the
didn't.
drug-induced scene, right, where they're like
Yes,
walking
yes,
off, and it's. I
drugs.
did not understand that. That was like that scene came out of nowhere, and I felt like I was high. Like somebody just through the screen, like the director just gave me like a ton of acid, just slipped it into my coke somehow, and I was going on some kind of acid trip. It was so. Okay,
I
that's
think
enough
that
about
may
that.
have partially been the point, almost, to just make you go, what?
The problem, the big problem I had with the movie was that the Beatles songs, when they translated them into musical form, they felt like they lost all of their charm to me. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but these songs, when they're translated into like almost Broadway musical form, they lose all of their personality. And I personally felt that Beatles fans would not enjoy the movie, which is weird because I'm obviously speaking for myself because I'm not a Beatles fan. You're the Beatles fan here, so you should be talking about that particular aspect. How did you feel about like the remixes of the songs?
Well, actually, I found myself gaining respect, like new respect for a lot of these songs based on the new ideas that were presented with them by being in a. Um,
Uh,
I do know people who walked into that theater that weren't a Beatles fan and came out a Beatles fan.
it felt like a poor man's version of Pink Floyd The Wall to me. It's like Pink Floyd The Wall neutered. It's like they took Pink Floyd The Wall and just chopped off its balls, and it doesn't have any guts or personality anymore. And I didn't like The Wall, the movie. I really loved the CD. The movie I thought was okay, but it wasn't. It had the same problem that this one did. It didn't flow. There was no continuity to it. It didn't
That
feel
was a
like a
huge
motion
problem.
picture. It felt like a collection of music videos. And if you really love like watching 2 hours worth of music videos in a row, this is your type of movie because there's some interesting cinematography here. Some of the way everything is set up in some of these scenes is outstanding as far as like dance choreography and stuff is concerned. I'm not sure even dance choreography, but you get what I'm saying. Like the position of the way
Yeah.
they film these certain scenes is pretty incredible. At one point, I remember where the guy's being enlisted into the military. Do you remember? And they play the song
Yes, I
I
love
Want You."
that.
That was a good scene. If that were just like a music video, I would go, okay, that's awesome. As a movie, the collection of these little snippets, it just doesn't work for me. As separate music videos, yes, they're very strong. As a movie, not so much.
I have to kind of agree with you in that point. I do think the She's So Heavy scene, the I Want She's So Heavy song,
hmm
was probably the strongest point of the movie that carried the most symbolism and the best, cinematography and dance and everything. And
Yeah,
this
it
movie did
was.
have some really cool moments.
hmm
It didn't flow very well, but I just accepted its flaws because I enjoyed the music and everything else so much.
What would you rate it?
I don't know because it's really just something that it depends on the type of person you are, that if you want to watch this or not. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone.
What, as far as personally, like a star rating from your enjoyment of the film, what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 5?
On a scale of 1 to 5, I would probably give it about 4.
All right, and as far as my enjoyment of the movie is concerned, I would have to give it a 2.5 because I appreciated like the filmmaking craft here. I enjoyed. I didn't get into the story or the characters at all. So I'm honestly going to have to go with a 2.5 out of 5, which is for me being fair on it because I'll admit after I finished the movie I was like, I just wasted 2 hours of my life, but I can't give it any lower than a 2.5 because there is some good stuff here. There's some great material. I didn't enjoy it. What else can I say?